The Packers will have a first and goal. Receiver to the right, Jimmy Graham. Rodgers, quick toss in the flat, left side. Got his man for the end zone and a touchdown.
First and Goal podcast on Spreaker.com. And we're now on all your favorite platforms: iHeartRadio, Spotify, Cashbox, Google Podcasts, Tumblr, YouTube, and SoundCloud. You can always follow us on Twitter at First and Goal Pod and our Facebook page, facebook.com/First and Goal Pod 33.
Get money, yeah. Get money, yeah. Get money, yeah. Get money, yeah. Every day I'm 3, 2, 1.
And welcome, everybody, to another live edition of First and Goal with me, your founder and producer, Jay, in the UP. And as always, your host with the most down in Georgia, it's Dave.
Evening, First and Goalers. Man, I feel like I haven't talked to y'all in forever. It's been 48 hours. The high of the Packers win off Sunday is just kind of carried me over into today, and there's so much news that's happened. Oh my God. Like, I feel like the past 48 hours has been a week.
Yeah, lots going on and lots to get to, and, we're going to go through right away and, get to a few things, and then we'll talk a little bit, and then we got to get to Dillon, because there's so many things going on in the fantasy world. It being a Tuesday, we definitely want to get to Dillon. You know what I mean? Like, we got to get there, buddy. So,
well, I know, but Dillon can have his time. Don't you worry about that.
Dillon can have his time. You're so mean sometimes.
I know. Sorry, my bad. I'm just so excited. The anger came out in a happy way. But you know what? It's time to get to the NFL news. Man, some things have changed the landscape of the NFL since Sunday. All right, I'll go ahead and start off with it. Ben Roethlisberger, out for the year. He ended up tearing a muscle off his elbow joint, and he hasn't been able to throw a ball right, I guess, since not even this week, but the last week before. From what I was hearing from Mason Rudolph on Twitter, he was saying that he noticed the problem with Ben 2 weeks ago in week 1. So Ben let it linger, probably got worse, ended up tearing something, and he tried to avoid it at all costs, ended up getting the surgery. Mason Rudolph, I'm all aboard that train, Jay. I like the kid coming out of Oklahoma State. He has a cannon for an arm, very raw talent, and he walks into an offense that's really ready for him to rock and roll. I mean, he showed he can compete with Seattle, came up a little short, but I think after a week of practice, getting in the playbook,
can I say
working
this,
with the starters.
Because
sure, you can say anything you want.
The other breaking news that would come in and tie into that is the fact that
I was getting to it.
They traded a first-round pick and some other picks that they're swapping those picks with them, whatever, and for Micah Fitzpatrick, and I just don't understand it because. I'm sorry, but Ben at 38 years old, I don't think he's coming back. I think he's done. And I think even if he wants to come back, I think the Steelers need to move on from Ben because with everything that happened last year and now this happening, it's one of those
sign.
It's one of those scenarios where even if it was unintentional, the fates are dealing them the cards, and the cards read rebuild. Okay? That's just the truth. I'm not trying to be, again, I'm not doing this to be hot take. It's just, if you look at what's happened, the two biggest stars on offense they had that were most productive are gone. their quarterback at, going on 38 years old has an injury that can take up to 18 months just to heal before he can start rehabbing to get back to be able to throw. You're talking Ben's probably going to be closer to 39 or 39 before he's actually fully healthy. And realistically,
Did you say 39 or 39? Which one, Jay?
Yeah, realistically, he's going to be 39 or close to 39 at that point, I guess was my point.
Well, 18 months should carry him over past that. That should be more close to 40.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, Ben's also taken a lot of abuse over the years, folks. That's one thing Brady and Rodgers compared to other QB, I mean, Rodgers didn't play for his first 3 years. He got to sit on the bench. Brady has had mostly clean pockets for the majority of his career. Thankfully, it's a top 10 lines every single year of his career. But Ben, I mean, he's been a warrior. And the guy has fought through some of the worst offensive lines, gotten the hell beat out of him. He's played with broken ribs, a separated shoulder. There's a number of things I can literally off the top of my head he's played with. I think a busted ankle, and the Steelers had to help carry him down the field for a win. And then he ended up going, getting surgery and going out when he was really young.
There becomes a point in every athlete's career as you get older, the more significant the injury, the more you recognize your athletic mortality and you become accepting that the end is closer. And I think with something
takes longer to come back from too as you get older.
Your body doesn't heal as fast. But I guess my point is that for a guy that over the last couple of years, the last 2 or 3 years going in the offseason, other than this last one because of what happened with Antonio and those guys leaving, he said he felt reinvigorated. He was seriously already considering retirement, guys. It was something on his mind. And so I guess that's why I'm saying if I were a betting man, I would bet 80% to 90% that we've seen the last time Ben Roethlisberger throws a football on an NFL field. That's my honest to God truth. Is the way I see it. I
jumping
think when
on
he gets done with that, his family and that are going to look at it and say, "Just come home, Dad. It's time."
Well, jumping on to this, what you said a minute ago, Minkah Fitzpatrick requested a trade, got out of it. Miami got a steal here with a first-round pick because it looks like Pittsburgh. I mean, I have all the faith in Mason Rudolph, but he came in
they're
unplanned.
Eight at best, really.
Yeah. So they're going to be at least a top 16, top 15 draft pick along with theirs. And then along with Houston Texans, they're going to have, I mean, good Lord, that they have a slew of talent they can pick from this upcoming draft.
Oh,
but
and I don't think they're done trading players yet.
No, they're not. Jalen Ramsey, they're saying they want 2 firsts, so they're at least going to get a first or 2 firsts for it. So there's going to be a 4th coming in there or a 5th. So, I mean,
well,
Ramsey
is on the Jaguars, though. Different team.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'll shut up. Sorry, it's been a long day, guys. Yes, Jalen Ramsey's on the Jaguars. Dave's an idiot.
But
Dancing Bear needs to get whipped.
There have been reports across the Twitter feed that the Packers have inquired about Devontae Parker and Kenyon Drake.
Jakeem Grant, all 3 of them.
Right, and they are. That's what I mean by they're not done. There's clearly several players still on their roster on the trade
Drake,
block.
they can probably get a 3rd for. I feel that they can get an extra 3rd-round pick for.
What about Parker?
Not a first. Even though he was drafted a first, he's been injured every year. He's never been able to produce outside of a 1,000-yard season. I mean,
I think Parker.
I would give.
You know what? I think with Parker, you give him a conditional 5th that could bump to a 4th if he plays so much. You know what I mean?
I was thinking a 4th across the board anyway. So I mean, we're along the same lines there. Parker doesn't scream value.
No, well, it's not that. You know what his value is? What were his best seasons? You were about to say it. His best seasons were when he was that slot guy that didn't have the pressure off him. Well, that's what Green Bay needs. Look, I know everybody loves his name and loves him and they're stuck on him, but look, Parker, when he's healthy, is a better athlete, better receiver, and more dependable when he's not having to be the number 1 like he's had to be. When he's just depended on to be the number 3 out of the slot, he's been very productive. And in Green Bay, he could be that. And he would definitely be a step up from who they have in the slot right now in Geronimo Allison. I'm sorry. Because his most productive seasons were when the attention was going to somebody like Jarvis Landry. Well, he would have attention be given to Davante Adams, right? So I think Parker is worth the 5th, conditional 4th, to bring him in and see. And again, I'm into this ever since you and I started talking to these historians earlier, Dave. I have really changed. I'm really into this idea of what I figured out. What I believe I figured out is the key to the Patriot way. And I think it's an easy thing to do. It's just you have to be willing and committed to the process of doing it. And that means signing guys like Dez Bryant, bringing them in, and letting them play for a game or two. And if they don't work, you get rid of them. It means giving up a 4th or a 5th conditional pick to get a guy like Devontae Parker, and if he doesn't work, you let him go. That's my point. To me, it's never a waste if you're constantly doing something, because I've seen the results the other way, I guess, Dave, is what I'm saying here. I've seen sitting on your hands and going with the status quo.
Yeah,
and
Ted Thompson.
We've had 0 championships. We've come close, but we have 0. So let's just go 180 the other direction for a change and see if that works. And if it don't, then we can
has done
work
that.
in the
He's
middle.
aggressive.
That's my point right here. Is I think Gutekunst thinks the same way I do. I think people, if you're really smart, you figured out the formula of the Patriot way. It has nothing to do with the actual who the coach is. The coach is the architect and the dude. But the thing that makes Bill Belichick so great with his system is how committed to it he is. He plays no favorites. He does not get attached to players. He has an amount of money and a value he places on a player, and if that player thinks that they're worth more, he will simply move on from them and find another player he feels that has the same equal value and plug them in and do it. And he will. You saw it last year. What did they sign, like 22 different wide receivers in the offseason before the season started? Like, that's my point. And it didn't hurt their cap. It didn't kill their team chemistry. All these fallacies we hear of why we shouldn't do this, why teams shouldn't do this, are the exact. They've all been proven wrong over the years with Bill. I mean, like Antonio Brown should not. By all rights, should have upset that locker room, and they should have had a terrible game, right? Because he's a distraction, and I know.
No, he helps come out and destroys Miami.
Right. That's my point. It's like It's just so it's time, man. Pull the trigger, do some of these things, test it out, see if it works. Because the upside is so much better than if it doesn't work out. It's honestly, guys, these 4th and 5th round picks, you can go get them back pretty easy when you trade and do stuff. It's not like they're trading away your first. I think 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round picks should be held on close to the chest because those are usually valued starters you draft every year. You get in the 4th and 5th and that kind of stuff, those are the ones that you got to use to take flyers on veteran players like Parker and things like that, in my opinion. Anyway.
Well, we also have a couple trade chips now because, I mean, I went out and read that the PFF top 5 grades for the Packers game, 4th best, Elgton Jenkins. So that's a sign that they should be starting him at left guard and trying to trade Lane Taylor in that contract.
I didn't even notice until I was watching replays on ESPN last night. For Monday Night Football.
he replaced Taylor because Taylor was so bad.
Because Jenkins on the goal line for that Jamal Williams touchdown or whatever, they circled how Jenkins completely and he manhandled that guard or that tackle, defensive tackle.
That was Linval Joseph, by the way, who is a top 10 defensive tackle.
Who is a stud and was giving Lane Taylor a fit prior to that. That's why Jenkins, and I was not actually paying close enough attention during the game to catch that Jenkins did replace Taylor.
I was.
And I was so stoked when I figured it out, Dave. It was really late. I almost texted you, but I didn't.
You should have. But the thing is, though, it proves, to all the naysayers, Jenkins wouldn't have had any effect on the Bears game. Bull crap, people. He wouldn't have let Leonard Floyd or Robertson Harris bull rush into Rodgers' lap. And guess what? There's more completed passes right there down the field. And guess what? There's more points on the board. There's better running game.
I was just going to say, the running game, look, that's the double whammy that I'm seeing with Lane, and it's even showing up on film. Even when